What if I told you that fear is shaping your life in ways you don't even recognize? That it's not the obvious, heart-racing kind of fear we associate with danger, but something much quieter, more insidious. It's woven into your daily decisions, your ambitions, and even the way you see yourself. You may think you're in control, but are you? Or are you being controlled by something you can't see? Today, we're diving into Stoic philosophy, an ancient school of thought that taught people how to master their emotions, stay calm in chaos, and most importantly, break free from the fears that silently dictate their lives. These aren't just random fears. They are deeply ingrained, passed down through culture, experience, and even our biology. But once you recognize them, you can strip them of their power. And that's what we're going to do right now. Let's be honest. How much of your life is dictated by what others think? How often do you hold back an idea, silence yourself, or change your actions because you're worried about how people will perceive you? This fear is everywhere. It's in the way you dress, the way you speak, even in the dreams you allow yourself to pursue. But here's the harsh truth. Most people aren't thinking about you as much as you believe. They're too busy dealing with their own fears, their own self-doubts. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Imagine living a life where you make decisions based on your own values instead of the invisible judgment of others. That's freedom, that's power, and that's what Stoicism teaches us. So the next time you catch yourself hesitating because of what they might think, pause. Ask yourself, are their opinions truly my concern? If the answer is no, move forward. Failure. That word alone makes people uneasy, but let's break it down. What is failure really? Is it a sign that you weren't good enough? That you should have never tried? Or is it just proof that you're pushing beyond your limits, into territory where growth happens? Seneca, another great Stoic, put it best. Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. Failure isn't the opposite of success, it's part of success. Every great thinker, creator, and leader has failed, often publicly, often spectacularly. But they kept going. The real failure isn't falling short, it's never trying. So what if you stopped fearing failure? What if instead of seeing it as a setback, you saw it as a sign that you're in the arena, actually living? That changes everything. We crave certainty. We want to know how things will turn out before we take the first step. But life doesn't work that way. And here's the truth. Certainty is an illusion. No matter how much you plan, unexpected things will happen. So if you're waiting for the right time or guaranteed success, you'll be waiting forever. The Stoics had a practice called amor fati, the love of fate. Instead of resisting uncertainty, they embraced it. They accepted whatever happened, not as good or bad, but simply as what is. What if you did the same? Instead of fearing the unknown, you leaned into it. That's where real courage begins. We hold on too tightly to people, possessions, identities. We fear losing them because we think they define us. But nothing is permanent. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, said, "You have a beautiful vase? Enjoy it, but remember it is fragile. The day it breaks, you won't be shattered with it." This isn't about being emotionless. It's about being prepared. When you accept that everything is temporary, you stop clinging. And when you stop clinging, fear loses its grip on you. So instead of fearing loss, appreciate what you have while it's here. And when the time comes, let go with grace. Modern life has made us soft. We avoid discomfort at all costs, whether it's physical, emotional, or mental. But discomfort is a gift. It builds resilience. The Stoics practiced voluntary discomfort. They took cold baths, fasted, and slept on the floor, not because they enjoyed suffering, but because they wanted to prove to themselves that they could handle hardship. When you stop fearing discomfort, you become unstoppable. Because if you can handle discomfort, you can handle anything. Many people fear solitude. They distract themselves constantly, scrolling, texting, filling every quiet moment with noise. But solitude isn't loneliness, it's power. Seneca said, "Associate with people who uplift you, and, if none are available, uplift yourself." Learn to be alone, because when you're truly comfortable with yourself, you'll never settle for shallow relationships, meaningless conversations, or empty distractions. This is the ultimate fear, the one most people refuse to think about. But the Stoics thought about death every single day. They had a practice called memento mori, remember you will die. This wasn't meant to be depressing, it was meant to be liberating. If you accept that your time is limited, you stop wasting it. You stop delaying what matters. You live now. So the question is, if you knew your time was short, how would you live differently? Now you see, these fears, they aren't just small anxieties, they're shaping your life. But they don't have to. Stoicism gives us a choice. Let fear control you or take control of your fear. The path is yours. What will you choose? Let me ask you something. How often do you feel stuck, like something invisible is holding you back? Maybe you hesitate to speak your mind, avoid taking risks, or feel trapped in a life you didn't exactly choose. It's not bad luck. It's not circumstances. It's fear. Not the fear of heights, spiders, or the dark. No, I'm talking about something deeper, fears that operate in the background, shaping your decisions, keeping you small without you even realizing it. The ancient Stoics, people like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, believed that most suffering isn't caused by external events, but by our own minds. They taught that fear, if left unchecked, can turn us into prisoners of other people's opinions, of failure, of loss, even of ourselves. But once you see these fears for what they are, they lose their power. And today, that's exactly what we're going to do. Have you ever stopped yourself from saying something because you were afraid of what others might think? Maybe you wanted to start a YouTube channel, share an idea at work, or express your real opinion, but a little voice in your head said, "What if they judge me?" Here's the truth. Most people are too busy worrying about themselves to think about you. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal, his meditations as we now call them, "You have power over your mind, not external events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In other words, you can't control what others think, but you can control whether their opinions control you. So let me ask you, if you weren't afraid of judgment, what would you do differently? Failure. It's something we've all been trained to fear since childhood. A bad grade, a rejected job application, a business that didn't take off. But failure is never the real problem. The problem is what we believe about failure. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Think about that. Every time you fail, you're refining yourself. Edison failed 1,000 times before he invented the light bulb. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team before becoming one of the greatest players in history. So what's worse? Failing, learning, and improving, or never trying at all? Fear of failure is really fear of discomfort. And, as we'll see next, discomfort isn't something to avoid, it's something to embrace. Modern life has made us soft. We chase comfort, avoiding anything difficult. But the Stoics knew the truth. Growth only happens through struggle. That's why they practiced voluntary hardship. They would sleep on the floor, take cold baths, fast for days, not to suffer, but to prove to themselves that they could endure. Discomfort. Seneca would wear the simplest, roughest clothes and eat the plainest food, even though he was one of the richest men in Rome. Why? Because he wanted to remind himself, I can lose everything and still be fine. What's the last uncomfortable thing you did on purpose? If you want to stop being controlled by fear, start seeking discomfort. Because the more discomfort you can handle, the less fear will hold you back. Humans crave certainty. We want to know what will happen before we act. But life doesn't work that way. Marcus Aurelius said, you have to assemble your life action by action and be satisfied if each one achieves its goal as far as possible. In other words, stop waiting for perfect conditions. They don't exist. Every great achievement, starting a business, moving to a new city, building a new life, was done by someone who didn't know how it would turn out. They acted anyway. We fear losing what we love, a job, a relationship, a way of life. But the Stoics had a practice called memento mori. Remember, you will die. It wasn't meant to be morbid. It was meant to be freeing. Epictetus said, you are a visitor in this world. Enjoy it while you can, but do not cling. Think about it. If you knew you were going to lose something, wouldn't you appreciate it more while it's here? Instead of fearing loss, embrace the present. Love deeply, but don't cling. Because when you stop fearing loss, you start living fully. Many people fear being alone. But solitude isn't loneliness. Seneca said, if you are ever afraid of being alone, you should examine why you dislike your own company. When you're comfortable with yourself, you stop needing constant distractions. You stop settling for shallow connections. So instead of fearing solitude, embrace it. Because when you can stand alone, you become stronger than ever. This is the ultimate fear, the fear of the unknown. But the Stoics thought about death daily. Why? Not to be afraid of it, but to appreciate life more. If today was your last day, what would you regret not doing? The reality is, you don't have forever. So stop waiting. These fears, they aren't just small anxieties, they are shaping your life. But you have a choice. Live in fear or master it.